group of friends, and welcome to DC TV Talk. This is the show where we talk all things Supergirl, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Arrow, and Black Lightning. And in today's video, we're going to be discussing the rumours and potential possibility of Adrian Chase returning to Arrow in episode 618. Let's discuss. So, if you don't remember, or just to give you a little bit of background, Adrian Chase, aka Simon Morrison, was the main villain or the big bad of Arrow Season 5, who went by the codename of Prometheus. He was a villain set on not just killing Oliver, but breaking him down to his core, making him not dead, but wish he was dead. This was his core mission. He was a ruthless villain, a match for Oliver, not just mentally but physically as well. He was the biggest threat, in my opinion, to Oliver. Even though he didn't have this grand plan to destroy Central City like Malcolm Merlyn did, he wanted to break Oliver psychologically, which he did to a big extent. And this is one thing I found so impressive about Prometheus, was he actually won. He actually succeeded. Like, villains like Deathstroke and Damien Dark, they tried to break Oliver, but they never really did it. Prometheus did. He actually broke Oliver and actually made him quit being the Green Arrow for a few weeks. And that was, a really cool story arc. And I think Prometheus as well, Josh Segarra, what an actor. He was so good in that role. He was so entertaining as well. He was such a sarcastic villain, very funny. And I really enjoyed that aspect of him. And I feel all those elements coming together made Prometheus, in my opinion, not only the best villain of Arrow, but the best villain in the Arrowverse. So why is Adrian Chase returning? Well, we've had a lot of hints from press releases and also from set photos and also from Stephen Amell himself that hint at why episode 618 is going to be very important for the character of Oliver Queen and what this episode could entail for the rest of the season and other elements coming into it. And one of these things that has been hinted at is Josh Segarra coming back as Adrian Chase. We know from Stephen Amell that episode 618 is going to be a very Oliver-centric episode, specifically talking about flashbacks. This is going to be a very flashback-heavy episode. I imagine actually around 80% of this episode is going to be flashbacks. The episode is entitled Back to Basics, so that kind of gives you some hints about what kind of flashbacks we could be seeing and the length of time we could be flashing back to. But that is one thing to note here, is that this is going to be a very Oliver-centric episode, perhaps a breaking down of the Oliver character. Now that he's been through that entire character arc, thanks to Prometheus, about coming full circle and accepting his father's suicide and things like that, that he has almost come throughout this entire full circle character arc throughout 5 seasons, and in season 6, Oliver has been a very different character. And this is going to be perhaps a bit more of a deconstruction of that character, thanks to this and thanks to the flashbacks showing, how Oliver went through that transition. So will we see Adrian Chase or will we just see Prometheus? I feel like this is quite an obvious thing, but I feel we will see Adrian Chase. This is because a lot of things. Stephen Amell has said on Twitter that he was very, very excited for a particular person he was working with who has come back. So this would make sense. If he is actually physically working with somebody, then that does infer that it would be Adrian Chase and it would actually be Josh Segarra on set and he will be back. And this is also very exciting because, like I said, Adrian Chase is one of my favourite characters in the history of Arrow. I think he's so fun and so entertaining and such a brilliant villain. It will be awesome to see him back, so I'm really excited, and hopefully it will be Adrian, and hopefully, this is all a rumour at the end of the day, even though it does seem pretty likely at this point that Adrian will return, but if he does, I will be extremely happy about that. It's also important to note that if Josh Segarra is back on set, this would mean that we are going to be getting new scenes that we've never actually seen before. And this is extremely exciting because Oliver and Adrian, they spent a lot of time on screen together and we got to see a lot of what actually happened. But if Josh is on set doing new recordings, that means this is new scenes. And they're not going to be reusing and rehashing stuff we've already seen from season 5. And this is exciting. It shows that they're not being lazy and Josh is still enthusiastic to come back to the show and, record some extra stuff. And if we are getting new scenes with Adrian, that is going to be fantastic because that means we get some new content to chew on as Josh Segarra will be chewing up the scenery himself. So this is a fantastic bit of news, and hopefully that does mean that these are going to be new scenes that we've never seen before, and that will add to the epicness of Adrian's return. I mean, Stephen Amell has been very, very active on Twitter about this episode. A couple more things he's posted about. One of them is he's posted a picture of himself in the season 1 to 3 suit. So obviously that's the suit that he wore, that was the Yao Fei suit that he wore in the first 3 seasons. He showed himself in that costume, which we can infer that he will be getting flashbacks to the first 3 seasons of Arrow, particularly probably season 1. You know, if he's going back all that way, if it's a deconstruction of the Oliver Queen character and he's going back to basics, that could mean that he's going back to the Season 1 style of vigilantism. And I feel that would be really cool to see. Season 1 is an almost flawless season, in my opinion. It's such an epic piece of television that going back to that style, like, I remember there was an episode in Season 5, I think it was episode 9, where we went back to, we had like Season 1 flashbacks that were kind of tying him in back with Prometheus. That episode was so refreshing to go back to that style, and I feel that's what we're going to be getting here in this episode. So we're going to be getting flashbacks to all those 3 seasons, which means we could see Malcolm Merlin show up, we could see, not necessarily Mono Bennett, but we might see Deathstroke, we may see some flashbacks there, we may see some stuff with the League of Assassins and Ra's al Ghul. That would be very, very exciting indeed. So having flashbacks to those first 3 seasons is incredibly quintessential. More interestingly though is that Steven did post a picture of himself inside of the Green Arrow suit from Season 4, so that's basically the suit he wore in 5 and 6 but without sleeves. This is very interesting because obviously Season 4 as a season of Arrow was not very good and it was extremely poorly received, doing so badly it's basically knocked the Arrow viewership ever since. Arrow has not had a strong viewership ever since the ending of Season 4 because it just turned people away from the show because it was that bad. So do flashbacks to Season 4 is a risky move. Season 5 kind of got away with it with tying it into Season 4 because obviously it was the preceding season, so it kind of got away with it. But here in Season 6, going back to Season 4, that's an extremely risky move. I don't know how that's going to go down with people. It also depends on what they're flashbacking to. Will we see Damien Dark? I mean, that would be interesting if he came back. Will we see some other stuff? Will we see, you know, maybe we'll see like repeats of Laurel's death again, which would be interesting because again they kind of did that in the Season 5 premiere, so it'd be weird. I just don't know what they're going to do with the Season 4 stuff. It'd be really odd just to go back to the season because, like I say, people really didn't like it, so it'd be interesting to see what audiences think of it, and especially perhaps people who were turned off by Season 4 and they perhaps just tuned into this episode for whatever reason. It comes back with Season 4 stuff, they'll be having nightmares. So I'm actually most interested to see what they do with the Season 4 stuff, just to see what it is, but the fact that they are doing it does scare me a little bit. So if we're getting flashbacks to Seasons 1 to 4, that could also mean we will be getting some flashbacks to Season 5. Obviously Season 5 is very fresh in people's memories, it was only last year, and Season 5 had a lot going on, obviously with Prometheus, and this obviously does mean if Adrian Chase is coming back, then that means these are going to be Season 5 flashbacks, and this is very exciting. I think Season 5 is obviously one of the stronger seasons of Arrow, so, and obviously Adrian Chase being the strongest villain, it just will tie it all together nicely. I don't know what we'll see, because obviously it was so recent. We may get some stuff with Leon Yu, maybe. Perhaps some stuff with Ragman, I think that'd be cool. Although I doubt that heavily. Maybe some stuff about Betrayal, like with Evelyn Sharp. I don't know. There's just going to be some interesting stuff with the flashing back to Season 5. I feel if we are getting Season 5 flashbacks, it will mostly just be Prometheus stuff, which that's fine by me, because he is incredible. And again, we don't know what the story is, so to tie this all together, we don't really know how all these flashbacks are going to culminate together. It could be a very interesting thing where perhaps Oliver is just having some reminiscing, he's reflecting, or it could be tying into a certain thing going on in Season 6. I don't know, it's a very interesting sounding episode. The fact we are going to be getting flashbacks to the whole legacy of Arrow, you know, the past 5 seasons, is going to be very interesting to see. Like I said, I'm mostly not necessarily excited, but definitely most interested to see the Season 4 flashbacks, just to see what they do with that. And then also it'll be interesting to see what we get from the Seasons 1 to 3, whether they'll be, you know, whether we'll see some of the old villains and some of the most important older events that went on. And most importantly, I'm really excited to see Josh Segarra return as Adrian Chase / Prometheus in the Season 5 flashbacks. You know, he's just one of my favourite characters in Arrow. I was so upset when they died. I mean, obviously, it was quite obvious he was going to die at the end, but it was just, I really wanted him to stick around because I love him and he's such a good presence. But if we're getting him back for this one episode, that'll make me happy. That'll be like a nice bit of closure for Adrian Chase, just to have like one last stab at it really before he's put to bed forever. So overall, I think this episode looks fantastic. It sounds really cool, sounds really interesting, and we've still got a while off. I mean, we've still got some exciting stuff to look forward to. Obviously in 6:15 we're going to get the return of Roy Harper. He's going to have his little story arc. In 6:16 I think Nissa Al Ghul's coming back, so that's cool. So we've got some stuff to look forward to in the build up to this, but this is going to be such a cool sounding episode to me. So thank you guys for watching this episode of DC TV Talk. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like, it'll help me out a lot, and share this video with anyone and everyone you know who loves DC TV and get them to join the community. And as always guys, please subscribe for all of your latest content on Supergirl, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Arrow and Black Lightning. And with all that said guys, I hope to see you again in my next video.